This story begins deep in the wild, where the grass stretches like golden waves under a sky the color of dust and heat. A lion cub's desperate cry cuts through the savanna air, echoing like a call for help no one can ignore. The river is swollen from last night's storm, and its muddy water churns, with branches, foam, and unseen dangers. The cub struggles, its small head bobbing above the surface, every gasp shorter than the last. In this unforgiving land, survival is never guaranteed. Even the king's offspring can vanish in the blink of an eye. So before we dive in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy these emotional stories. Comment below your favorite animal, because today, the savannah will test loyalty, courage, and instinct in ways few have ever witnessed. You hear the cub's cry again, weaker this time. The camera of your mind sweeps across a dry ridge where a lone dog watches. Mud clings to his paws, ribs faintly visible beneath a coat scorched by the sun. He isn't part of this world, no pack, no pride, no belonging. Yet something in that sound stirs him. His ears lift. The river foams, and the cub's body twists with the current. There's no logic here, only impulse, an instinct deeper than species. The dog bolts forward, paws pounding the cracked earth, tail low for balance. His shadow merges with the cub's reflection. For a heartbeat, the savannah holds its breath. Then with a splash that breaks the stillness, he leaps. The current seizes him instantly. Water claws at his fur. The cold steals his breath. But his eyes stay fixed on the cub, a faint shape drifting farther with every surge. Behind him, thunder rolls again, echoing across the plains like a warning. You can almost feel his heart hammering beneath the chaos, the mixture of fear and determination that makes heroes of the least expected. The river doesn't care. It drags, spins, and punishes. But the dog kicks harder, teeth clenched, every stroke a plea against the inevitable. Nature's rules are clear, save yourself or perish. But here, something different is unfolding, a defiance of instinct itself, and yet, as the cub's tiny paw brushes the dog's snout, the story's danger has only just begun, because somewhere beyond the reeds, unseen eyes are watching. In the tall grass, something stirs. The water slams against you like a wall of fists. The current doesn't flow. It roars, hurling branches, mud, and shards of broken reeds. You can't tell which way the river bends anymore. Everything is brown, violent, and alive. The dog's fur clings to his ribs, his paws flailing against the pull of the storm-fed tide. Yet through the chaos, that single cry keeps calling. The cub, choking, twisting, vanishing. You feel his body coil with one last burst of strength. He lunges, teeth finding the cub's scruff, a desperate grab between two worlds. The cub's tiny claws rake against the dog's snout, not out of malice but panic. For a split second the world freezes, predator and prey locked in a bond that defies nature. Then the current rips again. The dog's hind legs disappear beneath a swirl of foam, his lungs begging for air. But he refuses to let go. A guttural growl escapes him, half agony, half defiance. The cub trembles in his jaws, limp but breathing. Somewhere, beyond the thunder and crashing waves, lightning flashes over the savannah, lighting up two silhouettes fighting against death itself. The dog turns sideways, letting the current push them downstream toward a fallen log wedged across the riverbank. His paws scrape bark. Claw by claw he climbs, dragging the cub higher. The weight of water seems endless, a mountain pressing down with every heartbeat. Still he climbs. At last, with a wet thud, they collapse onto the mud. Both are shaking, drenched, gasping. The cub's chest heaves once, twice, then a cough sprays droplets into the air. The dog nudges him gently, whining low in his throat. It's not triumph, it's disbelief, that they're both somehow still alive. You can almost hear the world exhale. The storm eases. Raindrops hiss into the dirt. The reeds sway gently again. The cub's amber eyes blink open, glazed but curious. He stares at his rescuer, a creature his kind should fear, yet something unspoken connects them. And yet far away, deep within the acacia grove, a low rumble begins. A lion's call, the guttural, commanding. It echoes across the plains like thunder chasing its own shadow. The dog's ears flick back. He looks toward the sound. That's when you remember the truth. No act of courage comes without consequence. The cub's family will return, and they will not understand. The dog lowers his head beside the cub, his breath shallow, eyes scanning the tall grass. He doesn't run. He waits, caught between pride and instinct, between the savior and the trespasser. Somewhere beyond the trees, branches snap, a shadow moves, and the savannah holds its breath once more. In the tall grass, something stirred again. This time, heavier. The storm has passed, but the river hasn't forgotten. Even now, its swollen body snakes across the plain, whispering through reeds like a wounded beast. The dog and the cub lie side by side, shivering, soaked to the bone. Steam rises from their fur in faint ribbons. Every breath the cub takes is ragged, a shallow wheeze that flutters in his chest. You watch the dog nudge him again, gently pushing the cub's small body closer to his own warmth. There's no logic here, no training, no command, just instinct, raw and ancient. Somewhere deep in his bones, the dog knows this cub is life itself, fragile and fading. The wind shifts, carrying a faint scent of blood, of wet fur, of lions. The dog's muscles tense. His gaze drifts toward the tree line, where long grass bends unnaturally. He knows that smell, dominance, danger, family. The cub stirs, coughing. A weak mule escapes him, pitiful and sharp. The sound ripples across the valley, carried on the wind like a beacon. The dog freezes. The world seems to tilt. Every instinct screams, run. But he stays. You feel it too, the pull between mercy and fear. He lowers his snout, licking the cub's muzzle, clearing away the mud. The cub's eyes flutter, unfocused. His tiny paw rests on the dog's foreleg, as if to anchor himself to life. Then movement. The reeds part, water sloshing softly as something heavy steps closer. You hear the grunt, the slow rhythm of breathing through a predator's chest. A lioness, golden and immense, emerges from the grass. Her maneless head tilts, eyes locking onto the scene before her. Her cub, alive but lying beside a strange, trembling creature. Her lips pull back, revealing long teeth, wet and gleaming. The dog doesn't move. His body lowers instinctively, head bowed, tail tucked. But his eyes, they never leave hers. It's not defiance. It's understanding. The savannah speaks through silence now. The cub gives a tiny cry, and the lioness's gaze flicks toward him, softening for the briefest second. That moment is everything, because just as she steps forward, a second lion growls behind her. A deeper voice, the patriarch's. His silhouette cuts through the reeds, broader, darker, more dangerous. His mane drips with rain, his tail lashes once. The dog's breath catches. There's no escape now. He's surrounded by royalty, the kind that doesn't forgive trespassers. And yet, even as his paws dig into the wet mud, his gaze shifts to the cub, who presses against him, trembling. The dog inches forward, standing between the cub and the pride. It's a gesture the lions can't comprehend, or maybe they can too well. A single low rumble rolls through the grass, the sound of judgment, ancient and final. But then, behind it, thunder cracks again, not from the sky, but from the earth itself. The riverbank gives way, and in the chaos, the savior and the pride collide once more. The ground splits with a groan. Mud slides like quicksilver, and the fragile safety of the riverbank collapses beneath you. The lioness roars, leaping back as the soil crumbles away. The dog scrambles, claws tearing through the slick earth, trying to keep the cub pressed against him. The cub lets out a choked squeal, that same desperate cry that started it all, but this time it's lost in the rush of collapsing mud. You can almost feel the drop in your stomach as they tumble together, mud, water and tangled limbs crashing into the shallows below. For a heartbeat, it's only chaos again. The cub disappears beneath the surface. The dog's snout vanishes. The roar of the river swallows every sound. Then movement. The dog bursts upward, his chest heaving, eyes wild with panic and exhaustion. He dives again, searching. His tail slices through the water like a rudder. His ears flatten to his skull. Seconds stretch into eternities until finally his jaws close around soft fur once more. The cub emerges, limp but breathing. The lions above watch, the entire pride now gathered at the edge of the broken bank. Their amber eyes glint in the dim light, following the struggle below. To them this is unnatural, a trespasser touching royal blood. Their instincts war between reclaiming the cub and tearing apart the intruder who dares to hold it. The lioness lets out a low, guttural moan, not rage, but recognition. She sees the truth. The dog saved her child. Her muscles ripple, ready to leap, but something halts her. Maybe it's the cub's faint squeak, or the way the dog shields it even now. The dog drags himself from the water again, body trembling from fatigue. Every breath sounds like it could be his last. He collapses beside the cub, nuzzling it weakly as if to prove he's still there. For a moment time stands still. The lions descend, forming a slow, deliberate circle. The air vibrates with their low growls, not yet violent but dangerous in their uncertainty. The cub, half-conscious, lets out a soft cry. The lioness steps forward and lowers her massive head to sniff him. You watch her pause, her muzzle just inches from the dog's trembling face. The dog doesn't move. He can't. His eyes are dull, pupils dilated from exhaustion. But his body remains between her and the cub, even now, even at the edge of death. A single drop of water falls from the lioness's whisker onto the dog's nose. She inhales deeply, then exhales through a slow rumble that shakes the ground. Her gaze shifts from the cub to the dog, and something in her expression changes. Not mercy, not gratitude, something older, something wild and wordless. Because she knows what the dog doesn't, the pride has already scented blood in the air. And from behind her, heavy paw steps close in. The male lion, massive and unyielding, emerging with judgment in his eyes. But in the tall grass behind them, another presence stirs. Not predator, not prey. Human. The silence after the storm is heavier than thunder. You can hear only the rasp of the dog's breathing and the faint whimper of the cub pressed against his chest. The world around them feels paused, the lions frozen like statues, their golden eyes gleaming with something unreadable. Every breath, every heartbeat carries the tension of 1,000 instincts colliding at once. The lioness crouches low, her muscles flexing. She's torn between gratitude and fury. Her cub is alive, but the smell on him, the scent of another, burns like insult in her nostrils. Behind her, the male lion steps closer, mane rippling, his eyes locked on the trembling dog. His authority fills the air like a storm front. He growls, deep, resonant, ancient. It isn't a roar of warning. It's judgment. The dog lowers his body further, pressing his belly to the mud, ears flattened, head bowed. He doesn't run. He can't. His legs shake too much to move, but even if they didn't, he wouldn't. The cub nudges him weakly, eyes half closed. The lioness takes another step forward, tail twitching, indecision burning in every line of her body. You can feel her conflict, the primal rule of the wild versus the faint whisper of understanding. This isn't a predator's kill. This is something else. The cub stirs, lets out a small, strangled mewl, and in that instant, the lioness's resolve fractures. She brushes past the male, her massive paws sinking into the mud, and lowers her head once more. Her muzzle touches the cub's back gently, then moves to the dog. Her nose brushes his fur, and she inhales deeply. The dog doesn't flinch. He just closes his eyes, ready for whatever comes. But the lioness doesn't strike. She lingers, and the growls behind her fade to uneasy silence. For the first time, the savannah witnesses something unnatural, not dominance, not hierarchy, but hesitation. The male lion snorts, pacing in slow circles, torn between instinct and confusion. He knows the cub lives because of this intruder, but the law of the wild doesn't make room for mercy. Then a distant sound breaks through the moment, a low hum, mechanical, alien to the wilderness. The dog's ears flick toward it. The lions turn, their gazes sharp. Through the trees, glints of light appear, the reflection of glass, metal, and movement. Rangers. A green truck rolls to a stop near the ridge. Human voices cut through the still air. The pride scatters back into the tall grass, instinctively vanishing into shadow. Only the lioness hesitates, her gaze lingering one last moment on the dog and her cub before she disappears into the reeds. The dog collapses. His head drops beside the cub, the two of them framed against the wreckage of the riverbank. Boots splash through mud. Flashlights sweep the scene. A ranger kneels, whispering under his breath. You can almost hear the disbelief in his tone. Unbelievable. A dog saved a lion's cub, but as the cub wheezes faintly, his small chest fluttering, the ranger's expression changes from awe to urgency, because though the pride has gone, the real battle for life has just begun. And somewhere beyond the trees, a pair of amber eyes still watch. The rangers move quickly, their boots sinking into the muck as they reach the river's edge. One kneels beside the dog and the cub, his gloved hands steady yet trembling. Easy now. Easy, he whispers, though his voice trembles with disbelief. The scene before him looks like something out of myth, a half-drowned stray dog lying protectively over a lion cub, both barely clinging to life. The dog growls faintly at the first touch, his body stiffening, but it isn't aggression, it's confusion, exhaustion, fear. The ranger pauses, reading the animal's eyes. There's no malice there, only a desperate plea. Help him first. The cub's breathing is shallow. Its tiny sides rise and fall with effort. The ranger signals to his partner, who opens a worn canvas kit. Inside, saline cloths, a breathing mask far too big for something so small. We need to move fast, the partner mutters. He's got water in his lungs. The hum of the truck engine cuts through the tension, but beneath it, another sound, faint but unmistakable. A growl, the rangers freeze. Their eyes dart to the tree line. Two golden eyes gleam from the shadows, then 4, then 8. The pride has not retreated after all. They've only repositioned, forming a semicircle just beyond the glare of the headlights. The male lion steps forward, his mane catching the light like a halo of fire. His gaze locks on the humans, unblinking, deliberate. The air thickens. One ranger raises his tranquilizer rifle, hand shaking. Don't, his partner warns. If we spook them, we're done. You can almost feel the standoff in your chest, the weight of the wild pressing against the fragile courage of man. Between them lies the dog, trembling, too weak to move, and the cub, barely breathing. The lioness appears again, emerging from the reeds, her massive paws silent in the wet earth. She moves closer this time, ignoring the humans completely. Her focus is singular, her cub. She sniffs the air, nostrils flaring, reading every scent, river water, fear, antiseptic, metal, blood. Then her gaze falls on the dog once more. You expect her to attack, but she doesn't. Instead, she lowers her head, ears flattening slightly. A soft rumble vibrates through the air, a low note of recognition. The rangers stare in awe. One murmurs she knows. She understands he saved the cub. The male lion lets out a warning grunt, but the lioness responds with a growl of her own, not defiance, but authority. The hierarchy shifts, subtle but clear. She steps between the humans and the dog, her body forming a living barrier. It's a moment that rewrites the rules. The predator guarding not her kind, but the one who bridged the divide. One ranger whispers, almost reverently, I've never seen anything like this. But peace in the wild is as fragile as the cub's breath. Because in the distance, thunder rolls again. Not the storm's echo, but the sound of an approaching vehicle. A second truck, one not painted green, Poachers. And just as the headlights crest the far ridge, the lioness turns sharply, growl rising like fire in her chest. In the tall grass, death is coming, and this time it's human. The rangers whip their heads toward the ridge, the distant glare of headlights slicing through the night like the eyes of a predator. You can feel the shift in their breath, the sudden awareness that this rescue has turned into a standoff far greater than they imagined. Poachers, one whispers, voice low, steady. They must have followed the pride's trail. The lioness growls again, deeper now, stepping protectively in front of the cub and the dog. The male lion paces at the tree line, his massive body swaying like a drawn bow, ready to snap. The rest of the pride fans out, instinct taking over. For the first time tonight, the wild and the human share a single enemy. The first truck stops, its engine idling. You hear faint voices, laughter, metallic clicks, the cold sound of guns being loaded. The Rangers exchange grim looks. "We're outnumbered," the older one mutters, scanning the silhouettes. 4, maybe 5. You can almost smell the tension, the diesel fumes mingling with the raw musk of lions. The Rangers crouch lower, one hand on the cub's frail body, the other gripping the tranquilizer rifle that suddenly feels inadequate. The dog stirs, eyes flicking open. His breath rattles in his chest, but he senses it. Danger. He lifts his head weakly, gaze shifting between the lions and the glow beyond the ridge. The air hums with life, death, and something sacred that binds them all in this fragile clearing. Then a spotlight sweeps across the bank. White light explodes against fur and flesh. The pride roars as one. It's a sound that shakes the bones of the earth, a wall of fury and protection so primal it silences even the wind. The poachers freeze for half a heartbeat, stunned by what they see. A lioness standing guard over a dog and a cub, humans crouched nearby, rifles lowered. Then chaos. A gunshot cracks the night. The bullet hits mud, spraying dirt near the river's edge. The male lion roars and charges. The Rangers dive for cover as the poachers scatter, shouting over the thunder of paws. The earth vibrates with every impact. 1,500 pounds of fury tearing through grass and water. You can almost see it. The streak of gold against the glare of headlights, the raw power of nature unleashed. The Rangers scramble to move the cub. One cradles it gently in his jacket, while the other lifts the dog into his arms. "We have to go now." The lioness, panting, eyes flashing, turns her head, not at the humans, but past them, toward the direction of retreat. She seems to understand. She steps aside, blocking the ridge, buying them time with her life if needed. It's not a truce born of understanding, it's survival. The kind that transcends fear, species, and law. As the Rangers run, their flashlights dance across the floodplain. You glimpse the cub's tiny paw hanging from the jacket pocket, limp but warm. The dog's chest rises faintly against the Ranger's arm. Behind them, roars fade into the distance, swallowed by night and gunfire. For a brief moment, peace seems possible. But when the Rangers look back from the truck door, one detail freezes them cold. The lioness isn't moving anymore. And somewhere in that dark silence, the dog opens his eyes and whines. Because not all rescues end before the next dawn. The Ranger's truck tears down the dirt track, its headlights bouncing over stones and tangled roots. Inside, the air smells of wet fur, blood, and fear. The younger Ranger drives with one hand, the other gripping the radio, his voice trembling as he calls for backup. Injured lion cub and a dog, both alive but critical. Send medical support now. The cub lies wrapped in a rough wool blanket on the passenger seat, tiny chest shuddering with each breath. Water still glistens in its fur, its eyelids flickering like it's fighting dreams too heavy to carry. On the floorboard, the dog lies still, sides barely moving, his fur matted with mud and streaks of crimson where the river's debris tore his skin. You can almost feel the thrum of the truck beneath your feet, the vibration of tires over rock blending with the fading growls of the Savannah behind. The older Ranger sits in back, one hand steadying the cub, the other resting gently on the dog's side, whispering under his breath, "Hang on, boy. Just hang on." Minutes stretch into eternities before the truck bursts into a floodlit clearing, the small field station at the edge of the reserve. Lanterns swing in the wind, the hum of generators cutting through the night. 2 wildlife medics rush forward, eyes wide at the sight of the cargo. "What in the world?" One gasps. "No time," the Ranger snaps. "Came from the lower river bend." Dog pulled a cub out. Nearly drowned both. The medics exchange stunned looks, but spring into action. The cub is lifted gently onto a tarp-covered table, its limp body trembling as oxygen flows through a tiny mask. The dog is carried to another mat beside it, his head rolling weakly, eyes fluttering open to follow the cub. Even now, half-conscious and broken, he doesn't look away. The older medic wipes her brow, muttering facts as if to calm herself. Lion cubs can drown in less than a minute in strong currents. Their lungs fill fast. Even adults struggle. This one, he's lucky, lucky. The ranger echoes softly, glancing at the dog. No, he's blessed. The dog coughs, a wet sound, then exhales sharply, his body shaking. The medic turns quickly, checking his pulse. He's crashing. They work in tandem now, towels, IV lines, heated blankets. You can feel every second drag like a heartbeat suspended in fog. The dog's chest heaves, his breath shallow and uneven. Then faintly a sound, a tiny cry from the cub. Its paw twitches, curling against the blanket. The dog's ears flick once. Slowly, painfully, he turns his head toward the sound. His nose twitches. The corners of his mouth lift, barely, but enough. The medic stops, whispering, he's responding to the cub. For a moment, the room falls silent. Machines hum softly. The storm outside has passed, and a single beam of moonlight breaks through the slatted roof, falling across them both. The rescuer and the rescued, side by side. But peace never lingers long in the wild. The radio crackles. Poacher trucks sighted again near the western ridge. They're not done. The ranger looks toward the window, eyes narrowing. We just started saving life here, he mutters. We're not losing it again. And outside, beneath the rustle of tall grass, something unseen shifts, watching, waiting. Dawn bleeds across the horizon in streaks of orange and gold, stretching over the acacia trees like a promise that the night's chaos is over. But inside the field station, the air is still thick with the weight of survival. The scent of antiseptic mixes with the earthy tang of wet fur and the faint rhythmic beeping of medical monitors. The lion cub lies curled beneath a heating lamp, tiny chest rising and falling in smooth, steady rhythm now. Its fur has been brushed clean, bandaged where the river's debris cut deep. The medics whisper softly around it, adjusting tubes and writing notes, voices gentle as wind. On a cot nearby, the dog stirs. His breathing is slower now, not labored, just tired. His body wrapped in clean gauze, his fur still damp in places. When his eyes open, they're cloudy but alive. He blinks toward the table where the cub sleeps, ears twitching at the sound of the cub's small size. The ranger notices. He smiles, kneeling beside the dog. You did good, boy, real good. His hand rests lightly on the dog's head. You saved a king's son. Outside, the world wakes. Birds call across the valley. Wildebeest begin their slow march toward water, and the air fills with the soft hum of a new day. But even through the calm, there's an awareness that balance has been disturbed, and nature always seeks to restore it. The medics speak in low tones. The pride will be searching, one says. We can't keep the cub here long. He belongs back out there. The ranger glances at the window. Then we'll return him, but not alone. A few hours later, the station's gates creak open. The rangers load the cub gently into a transport crate, lined with blankets. The dog, weaker but determined, stands beside them, tail swaying faintly. They drive slowly toward the high grass, where the world hums with cicadas and memory. When the truck stops near the old riverbank, the Savannah stretches endlessly ahead. The same place where water once roared and life nearly ended. The rangers step out, setting the crate down. One unlatches the door. The cub steps forward hesitantly, blinking at the light, at the earth, at the freedom he almost lost. He looks back once, at the dog, and for a breath of time the world holds still again. The lioness emerges from the brush, cautious but certain. Her eyes lock on the cub, then on the men, and finally on the dog. She makes no sound, no threat, no roar. Only a look, ancient knowing, that passes between them like wind through grass. The cub mews softly and runs to her. She lowers her head, nuzzling him close. The dog watches, eyes wet with something beyond pain or relief, something sacred. The lioness lifts her gaze one last time, and in it, there's no anger, only acknowledgement. The rangers step back. One whispers, "Let's go." As they walk away, the dog lingers, turning once to see the cub nestled against his mother. The wind carries the faint echo of a purr, the rustle of tails through the grass, and the quiet heartbeat of peace returning to the plains. But somewhere deep inside, the Savannah remembers. that on one storm-filled night a stray dog changed the laws of the wild. And in the tall grass, all that remains is silence, the kind that heals. So evening stretches its soft glow across the savannah, turning gold to amber, amber to shadow. The storm's memory lingers only as a scent, wet soil, cooled stone, and distant thunder. The land breathes again. Life returns in quiet motions. A heron gliding low over the river, insects whispering through the reeds, wind brushing over grass that still bears the footprints of lions. The field station hums faintly behind you, a distant echo of human hands that tried to mend what nature nearly took. But out here, balance has been restored, not through dominance, but through mercy. The lioness lies beside her cub near the edge of the riverbank, their fur bathed in the orange light of dusk. The cub plays clumsily, pawing at a floating leaf. Each breath he takes now is strong, certain. And nearby, at the crest of a small hill, the dog rests beneath a lonely acacia. His head rests on his paws, ears twitching as the last wind of day sighs through the plains. The rangers had carried him there earlier, setting him free, his wounds cleaned, his purpose fulfilled. He doesn't move much. He doesn't need to. His eyes stay fixed on the pride in the distance, calm, content, no longer afraid. You hear the river too, quieter now, tamed, reflecting the colors of a dying sun. It murmurs the same song it sang when it almost took 2 lives, only now it sounds softer, more forgiving. The lioness lifts her head once, scanning the horizon. Her gaze lingers toward the hill where the dog lies. The distance between them feels vast, but her eyes soften, just for a moment. She exhales slowly, a sigh carried away by the warm breeze. The cub presses close to her, safe, unaware of the miracle that made this peace possible. Above them, the first stars appear, faint pinpricks scattered across the darkening sky. In this fleeting quiet, everything feels whole again. The danger has passed, peace has returned, and the savannah rests once more. The river flows, the grass sways, and the night gathers its chorus of life. The story of the dog and the lion cub will fade into legend, whispered by rangers, remembered by the earth, carried by the wind. But somewhere out there, under the starlit sky, the heart of a stray still beats, gentle, steady, eternal. Because in the wild, courage isn't about what species you are. It's about answering a cry when no one else dares to. Evening stretches its soft glow across the savannah, turning gold to amber, amber to shadow. The storm's memory lingers only as a scent, wet soil, cooled stone, and distant thunder. The land breathes again. Life returns in quiet motions. A heron gliding low over the river, insects whispering through the reeds, wind brushing over grass that still bears the footprints of lions. The field station hums faintly behind you, a distant echo of human hands that tried to mend what nature nearly took. But out here, balance has been restored, not through dominance, but through mercy. The lioness lies beside her cub near the edge of the riverbank, their fur bathed in the orange light of dusk. The cub plays clumsily, pawing at a floating leaf. Each breath he takes now is strong, certain. And nearby, at the crest of a small hill, the dog rests beneath a lonely acacia. His head rests on his paws, ears twitching as the last wind of day sighs through the plains. The rangers had carried him there earlier, setting him free, his wounds cleaned, his purpose fulfilled. He doesn't move much. He doesn't need to. His eyes stay fixed on the pride in the distance, calm, content, no longer afraid. You hear the river too, quieter now, tamed, reflecting the colors of a dying sun. It murmurs the same song it sang when it almost took 2 lives, only now it sounds softer, more forgiving. The lioness lifts her head once, scanning the horizon. Her gaze lingers toward the hill where the dog lies. The distance between them feels vast, but her eyes soften, just for a moment. She exhales slowly, a sigh carried away by the warm breeze. The cub presses close to her, safe, unaware of the miracle that made this peace possible. Above them, the first stars appear, faint pinpricks scattered across the darkening sky. In this fleeting quiet, everything feels whole again. The danger has passed, peace has returned, and the savannah rests once more. The river flows, the grass sways, and the night gathers its chorus of life. The story of the dog and the lion cub will fade into legend, whispered by rangers, remembered by the earth, carried by the wind. But somewhere out there, under the starlit sky, the heart of a stray still beats, gentle, steady, eternal. Because in the wild, courage isn't about what species you are. It's about answering a cry when no one else dares to.